Hi, welcome to the Quantum Creativity Show. I'm your host, Santari Green, broadcasting to you from Burgess Hill in the UK, with my co-host, Cesarina Trone, broadcasting to you from Cincinnati, Ohio. So welcome back to another edition of Quantum Creativity. So,
Hi.
back from your travels in France, Romania, Denmark, and of course, Italy. And we have an amazing guest from also from Denmark. She's Lona Mørch. I hope I pronounced that right.
Very good.
And I found Lona's website, of course, where you do many things, leading from one thing on Facebook to another thing. And I was quite amazed by the photographs that she's been taking of women in natural poses. And she has produced a book of 120 glossy photographs. The book is called Unveiled. So we're wanting to know something about the book and about your photographic project, basically, Lona. So I'll just mention that you're author, photographer, and cosmic adventuress. How about that?
I like that. Cosmic adventurous. Cosmic nomad. Yes.
Well, in this nomadic journey, what is it about photographing women in this way that first attracted you and wanted you to pursue this as a project?
Well, oftentimes things come at you and you don't really, it wasn't planned. It wasn't a master plan you had. It wasn't, so in this case, it was a lot of different sort of coincidences of things that took me on this journey. And maybe that's what describes the cosmic adventurous or the creative adventurous. It's I think I've always lived in a way where I was available for life, to show up with impulse and inspiration. And this started more than 10 years ago. I was working in digital media, film, with my ex-husband, and was kind of getting tired of things being digital and missing doing real pictures. So I bought an old analog camera. And at the same time, I was fairly newly married and was gotten so busy into life and business and felt kind of like I've lost a little bit of my sensuality, or I didn't really know that he was actually paying attention to me as a woman, so they were sort of like, what can I do? Create a present for him to do a book of pictures of me. And, I had a friend come over, photograph me, I photographed her, and we had so much fun. And it was just, in a way, it was so innocent at the time. It was just playing around, being goofy. But somehow it sparked me. There was something in that experience that was just, I don't know, touched something in me. And then I practiced on friends. They wanted their own book of photographs. So I started practicing black and white photography with friends. And it just kind of took over its own life at that time, because at some point it's like, wait a minute, this is expensive. I kind of need to sponsor this. So I started taking a little bit of money, and soon strangers showed up at my house. And at the same time, when you think it's one thing, but it's actually another thing, I thought it was just about light. It was just about learning the black and white, the photography, mastering the light in visual storytelling. I'd really become fascinated with that, because it's everything. It's what sets the mood. It's what shows what you see or don't see. So hence unveiling, there's the visible and the invisible, and the light and the shadow. And so there's a lot to play with. But in the actual work with women, when you're pointing a camera at someone, it's, I don't know, it was something happened in the moment that really created sort of a potency. It was almost like a lot of invisible things showed up in the room with us. That was kind of between the lens and the woman and me. And I think I got really intrigued, because obviously there's the shyness and the normal things about showing yourself that you don't just show to a stranger. And here's a stranger that in a way is inviting you to step into the spotlight and express yourself and show yourself. And so, you know, you can imagine all the shames and all the issues we have with our bodies, maybe sexuality, how we perceive ourselves, you know, all the things that kind of mitigates between yourself and the body is showing up in this room. And I think it was more that than the actual pictures in a way that kind of kept me going, because I wanted to understand what is going on here. Like, what is the shyness? Why can't we just show ourselves? And so in a way, the camera and this situation with women invited me into sort of a deep inquiry into women's identity and self-image and self-expression. And as you can imagine, you know, it was fairly fun and innocent in the beginning. It was just about being pretty and sexy and flamboyant and seductive, but over time, as we unveiled layers and layers and layers, you know, got underneath the facades, the veneers, the personas we were putting on to sort of appear in a certain way. I don't know, it was almost like there was a natural tendency towards wanting to get to the core. Maybe that's just me, that's how I operate, that's how my drive kind of draws me in deeper and deeper into the intimate. I want to get to the essence of this. But I think I sort of took the women with me, you know, what is underneath, like what else is there? Who are we really? And what are we trying to become or express or be for ourselves? So it's been a rich, very deep dive into the inner and the outer realities of womanhood.
Would you say that it's been your journey specifically, or do you sort of like hint there that it is also their journeys as well in their own individual way?
Yes, I mean it's certainly it's been their journey, because in a way they came to me for that journey, and obviously it's been my journey too, both as a woman, you know, going through my own, because this has been going on for, I don't know, more than a decade now, right? So lots of things happen over time, and it's been a way for me to, I think, explore my own identity as a woman, my own, I don't even want to say struggle, but my own just dance with the inner and the outer. How can I get them to merge so it feels like a whole? When I wrote my memoir, Seeing Red, in a way that was very much about sort of the inner deep journey of having lived as a cosmic, what did you call me? Adventurous?
Cosmic adventurous.
You know, in a way of living a very independent, free life, and coming to a time in my life where I was in a relationship and shifting my identity around that as a woman, but also at the same time being in my 30s, which is where you start kind of reclaiming yourself a little bit. You know, you start looking at who am I as a woman? What is my body for me? What is my sexuality for me? So it's sort of an interesting time in a woman's life where she sort of starts waking up a little bit. It's, you know, this experience of me is for me also. You know, I think a lot of our life in the beginning, we live it externally, trying to be something for someone else or to achieve something for something else. So I think you start coming more into your own in your 30s. You start awakening more to your inner reality. And then you realize maybe there's a discrepancy. You know, maybe you're actually not living your inner reality in your outer reality. So I think that became an intrigue for me to play with that with the women, you know, because we were ironically working with images, you know. So how can you create new images to maybe undo the images that doesn't fit you anymore, or that you don't feel are meaningful anymore? So that's been sort of part of the journey and the project.
Would you say, as you've been photographing all these women, that you actually get more closer to something which feels powerful? You know, that you realize that this isn't just about taking photographs or just about taking photographs of women who are wanting to show more of themselves, but actually you find that there's something which draws you into this mysterious place where you can not just accept that there's beauty there, but also find that there's a quality of each person waiting to be seen, to be recognized, to be expressed, and that somehow you're connecting with that.
Yeah.
Do you find that you've come to that place?
I love that you say that, because, you know, obviously over time, you know, this was not, you know, now I'm looking back at the experience and I can have the reflection and the contemplation. What was it? You know, at the time it just sort of unfolded and happened, and you know, lots of different little aspects were clicking in. Then I realized this, and then I experienced that. But I think some of the core things has been, one, the premise, because this was also my business, was that I, in a way, promised anybody who would come to make them beautiful. I would promise them that I would find what was beautiful in them. So that put me in sort of this kind of wild place. You know? Damn it, make me beautiful. But, you know, because of who I am and how I work, you know, of course I wanted to see the beauty, but I was looking for it. I was looking, and then I was looking beyond for the beauty that was under the skin, you know, the beauty that was not just everyone can be dolled up and look beautiful, but I was looking for a beautiful feeling. And so I learned a lot about my own creative process, I think, through this, because, you know, in the beginning I was more concerned with perfection, and I had my own vanities, and only I would show the pretty pictures and the perfect ones, and, you know, I was concerned with that being perfect. But as I got into it and I learned and got more and more comfortable with the process, you know, I kind of loosened up a little bit in terms of both sharing more with the women, but also trying to get them into a space with me where we weren't seeking perfection, we were seeking experience and feeling, and so it became sort of an peeling like an onion in the process, and my job was more trying, can I take her with me? And I also learned that, you know, now I never really prepare. Maybe I don't even know the person, we've never met, maybe I don't even know where we're going to photograph. So I become really good at blind dates. But it's like, I think I realized that as long as we have talked and we have a sense of what we're trying to do, I understand a little bit about her, she's feeling comfortable with me. If we start there, I don't need to know anything else. You know, I will of course prepare the woman and help her come up with ideas, and, you know, give her lots of creative input so she could start owning the process really, and owning what it is she is looking for. But, you know, to be able to show up, and I think you'd appreciate this being in the quantum creativity field, I learned that, yeah, there is a certain magic that happens once you show up and you have your space, you have whatever is going on in the space, you have me and the other person, and we dive in. It doesn't matter how we dive in, we just sort of dive in somehow. And there's always a moment where I think I'm just attuned to that moment, but I trust and I dance around and I see and I get her engaged and comfortable and expressive. And but there's always a point where I completely lose myself. You know, it's like I'm 150% alert and aware and awake and being in the presence of what I'm looking for in a way. And there's always a moment where I feel like I saw her. There she is. And it's almost like I'm done then. Okay, I saw you. That's it. We're done. so it's sort of an interesting, because, you know, I feel like I'm more like a choreographer. You say that, choreographer? Than a director, or you know, it's sort of this sort of give and take dance, and it's I have the person and I have the place and I have the light. That's sort of my ingredients, and then I sort of dance around and play with it and see what comes. And I think I enjoy that process more. You know, it's as I'm thinking about new projects, it's sort of like I don't know that I'm a director type person who has a vision and I'm just going to create exactly what I saw in my vision. You know, I'm more excited about the spontaneity and what happens that you cannot prepare. Yeah, something like that.
I would say that you're a divine alchemist.
Yeah.
By which I mean that there is you, there's the other person, but there's also what happens in between. That's that spark where something, as you say, is recognized. You recognize there she is, or you recognize something which says, now we're done. Now we're complete with what we set out to achieve. And I think that's always in the mysterious place. Perhaps you can put a name to it or define it in some sort of way, but it's the beauty, I think, of coming to another person. You don't know what you're going to do together. You don't know how you're going to meet, but because you've come together, something is going to happen, which is going to be remarkable, which perhaps will shift their lives in ways that they hadn't foreseen, and which will assist, by way that quantum things work, other people in that same position with those same senses of identification, so that it's never the same. It's always something different.
Yeah, it is, and and it's been. I've never really been able to define. Obviously, you try to define what you do, but no. And I think sometimes I forget to express to people because I take it so for granted that we just show up and stuff happens. But it's there's another thing that I reflected on as I put the book together. It's almost, I found that I really had to fall in love with people. Only if it was for that afternoon. I really had to just fall in love with that person, because then you look, when you fall in love with something or someone, you're so curious, and you really want to take in everything about this, and you want to know everything about them, and no matter what, it's beautiful, but it's like a way of seeing. So it's sort of interesting to just think about what filters your perception, like what filters your sight, and the difference. You could look at something through the eyes of being in love with someone, or something, or being grumpy and or insecure even, or so it's sort of an interesting, I think it's powerful to be aware of what kind of eyes you put on.
I think that's
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's fascinating to me, Santari, that and Lone, that this is, we're talking now, we're conversing with you, and we're taking that journey ourselves, the three of us, and into your magical world. You're taking us through sharing, and of course we will share on the screen with everyone your website so they can see what I'm talking about. But it is of the unveiling, and you really are this super creative coach, taking them in this, more than a coaching journey, really a journey to realize themselves, to dive so deep into all the layers of what represents a human form as a woman, but really beyond that, because that's why we have a form, to actually find the formless. So to me, what's stunning and what's fascinating, Lone, is all the multi-layered aspect of this, that, like you said, we could talk about the top layers, and then here we are talking and going deeper into deeper layers, and then we could probably talk for hours, and we probably find more layers, and it's never ending, because if you're dealing with the dance of revealing essence, you're revealing the essence of the beauty of life itself in every being that you encounter, then of course it's going to be infinite. And this is really why Santari and I are doing this type of show. For many people don't understand, well, what is the Quantum Creativity Show? It's really an invitation to the mystery of life. So you make it your whatever it is supposed to be. In this case, we're taking everyone on this enchanting journey with Lone in her work, and to really understand womanhood, but not just womanhood, really aspect of the beauty of life through the form of a woman, physical form. And like you said, it's just absolutely delightful for me. It's the journey itself is in being with it. So when I go to your website, or when I see the short video that shows your project, or when I hear you speak, or when I first got excited that Santari mentioned you and for the show, I really was in that, I already had began the journey of, what is this? This is mysterious. This is creative. This is my sort of thing as well. So there's that whole aspect of, we're all maybe looking at it from different filters or different eyes or different bodies, but yet there's something appealing in it, in all of us, that is revealing itself as we look at it. So I just thought I'd say that, because that's what came up for me as you're speaking, and it's sort of a new realization that I haven't thought of till this moment when we're having the interview.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So it's somebody said to me once, a couple of years ago, something about the fact that, my presence, my work, in a way, it is an evocative or provocative, depending on how you see it. And I never thought about it, because I'm just me, right? But I think it's very true that I found also with the women that's come to me over the years, that there is sort of an intrigue when they first discover the offering, the work, and some women, it's taken 7 years before they found the courage or the right moment or the whatever is going on in their lives. But I think it's true, just by being confronted with the question of, can I be seen? Can I unveil myself? Can I become visible to myself? Am I beautiful? Whatever questions would come, am I worthy of this? Whatever questions that it would spark in someone, she would already go through a deep process before she even gets to the camera, which is wonderful, because in a way it takes a little bit of the load off my shoulders in terms of carrying someone along to the process. But her unveiling starts from the moment she's considering coming to be photographed and working with me. And it's interesting that we never know how we affect each other. We never know how we touch each other, but it's sort of an interesting thing to be walking around with, that, our presence alone, or our work, our website, whatever it is, that we are actually creating this questioning and inquiring within each other, you know. So it's not neutral. We might think that we can walk through life with blinders on, but we are affected by each other, and we're affected by whatever I suppose we need to be affected by.
So you've produced the book, and see if I can share it on the screen here. There it is. It's called Unveiled. You're looking for a publisher, is that right?
That's right, yes.
So have you done a little bit of self-publishing?
I mean, my first book I published with She Writes Press, which is sort of a hybrid press. In a way, you publish yourself, but you have a company that takes care of the production and the distribution of the book. So it's not completely myself with books in the garage. You know, it's out there as any book traditionally published is being distributed in the world. So this would be my second book, and you know, yeah, I'm thinking about fundraising. Should I do it myself? But I also feel like I think it has commercial value in the sense that I feel like it's timely. I think it has a message that might actually, the world might be ready for, because there's been a lot of real body, real beauty trend and tendencies and lots of projects over the last 10 years or so that's been sort of almost like an outcry from people, I think, with this is my body, take it or leave it, you know. So there's been a lot of projects that have been showing the body with the scars and the whatever size or age, or you know, like the sort of like a clinical perspective on the body. This is my body. Here I am, you know, and I'm worthy. So there's been sort of a reaction to the idealized body. And I understand it. But at the same time, my project has been a lot more about the process of getting underneath the exterior persona, the image, the validation that we seek from the outside world, to come into more of a deeper personal relationship with your body. So for me, it's a lot more about your actually relationship to yourself and your body and what it is for you and what it does for you, and bringing back the expressiveness of a woman, the bringing back the mystery. To not just show it all and give it all away. There's been sort of a strange, it's not really new, you know, it's like commercialization of the body or a sexualization of the body. It's used, you know, it's almost like it's occupied by society in a way. So there's sort of again, we play with the veiled, unveiled, you know. Is it really giving us strength and empowerment because we dare to stand up and show ourselves naked? Is that really all it takes? I don't think so. So, you know, for me, it's not so much about that. I think it's been more, can we come back to who we are? Can we come back to a reverence for our bodies and almost like a sacredness, you know? It's not for, you know, if it's become commercialized and however it's being used by the world, it's almost like, okay, we created a private space where we could kind of reclaim it and do our own thing and try to find a way to be with our bodies and express ourselves no matter what age or stage, and sort of outside of that prying eye of media and, you know, in some women's case, men or mothers or, you know, the beauty courtrooms of all our friends or whatever it is. You know, it's like taking it back to engage away from the public eye to figure out, what is it for me? Like, how do I live in my body? How do I relate to it? How do I feel about it? How do I want to feel about it? And so it's been more that. And I think, you know, there's so many, it's like the body is still this, it's almost like it's a political thing, you know, these days there's so much legislation, I can't even say the word.
Legislation.
Thank you. Yes. You know, there's so much going on around the female body. It's amazing. So for me, it's more like, let's sidestep that whole debate and start engaging with our bodies in a way that's meaningful and personal and beautiful and artistic and has a little bit of the magic, you know?
I was just wondering how you would perceive someone who's transgender and comes to you and wants to be photographed. What would be the interplay then?
I have no idea. We'll have to see if anyone shows up. It'll be interesting. You know, I've thought about it, you know, even just working with men, you know, it's a different dynamic. So I think I'm open to it. You know, I think in this particular project, it was important to stay completely, I don't want to say clean, but stay focused and creating a space that was all feminine, because that seemed to be called for. That was what was needed. But I think me as an explorer and an artist, I think I'm curious, you know, it's like, how would men do this? You know, how would they engage with their body if it's taken out of as a sort of erotic space? Like, how would they express? And with transgender, whatever gender it is nowadays, you know, it's same. Like, I think I would actually ask the exact same questions, you know? Yeah.
So perhaps we just have a quick look at the video, or the opening of your video, because I think it's quite an interesting thing to share, and to get a taste of what it is that you do.
So these are women who I photographed who talk about their experience.
I love that. She handed me a glass of champagne. It was all good.
That's the trick.
I think also that magic ingredient you mentioned was about falling in love. Falling in love with another person, even someone perhaps you've never met before, but perhaps for a day, an afternoon, this session, it's a necessary thing to do, because you don't know what it is that you're going to experience together. And if it fulfills that person's dreams, their life commitment to know themselves, then you're going to go to that place that assists them to fulfill it. And I think that's, to me, is what the essence of what Unveiled is about. Not just unveiling by taking your clothes off, but unveiling the persona and seeing the being that's underneath, and finding the quality of and the radiancy of that being. And when you recognize it, that's the alchemical moment, then that person, they somehow feel different. They feel that, I think to use your words, they're enabled to embrace themselves, enabled to embrace their body and bring something, the quality and the nature of that nurturance more fully into their lives.
Yeah. You know, I think over the years, there's been moments where some woman have said something to me that really struck me and actually kind of got me to go deeper. But I remember there was a woman who was maybe around 50, and a friend of hers has sent me to me because she was going through some kind of transition, and maybe her friend thought I could help her get in touch with her passion again, or, you know, something. And she came and she asked lots of questions. Why should I do this? What can I, you know, what will photographs do? Mm-hmm. And then when she was going, and, you know, in that situation, you're just listening, and you can't really convince, because people really need to be able to show up and do it for themselves, not for any other reason. And when she left, she was standing and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, you know, I'm not so afraid of being photographed. I'm more afraid that I won't like the pictures that I see. Mm. I think I prefer to be in the illusion of myself. Mm. That somehow just, whoa, never had someone said it so eloquently, that in a way, I think we all really long to be seen, but we're scared of seeing what we see. Like, we're scared of seeing ourselves. And I think this is sort of the implicit question that these women are facing. You know, I need to see myself. I need to be witnessed so I can be myself, or you know, so there's something about the process of being seen that allows a woman to see herself. Mm-hmm. It's almost like if I can be seen, and held through this, I have the courage to see myself. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I think in the process, I started just showing all the pictures, also the ones that weren't perfect, or, you know, and to sort of like normalize the fact that we have so many expressions, and in a day you have so many faces and expressions and moods and moments, that, and to see that, you know, to see that there is a picture where you can sense the child, the little you, and here's another picture where you could totally see who you'll be when you get really old, you know. So it's, you have all the dimensions are there all the time, and it's, and maybe some pictures you look a little stern, and maybe you look like your mother, and you know, like, and so what? so it's like I think it's like integration, and it's acceptance that, yeah, okay, on some moments I'm stunning, other moments I'm hidden, other moments I'm looking angry for some reason, or shy, or internal, or whatever.
Learning to love all of those flavors, right, of your being, all those stages, all those facets. Like a diamond, you know, we don't see the diamond till we, like you said, something gets activated, and once we get to see the diamond in us, we'll appreciate all the facets of the diamond.
Yeah.
Think of them as ice cream flavors. I'll have a dip of the cherry for the moment.
Well, sometimes you don't get to choose. You just get what you get.
So let me just ask you, you are still photographing women?
Yes, still available. Any time anyone wants to be photographed, I'm happy, and it's joyous for me to do. But I think creatively, I'm sort of in that, what is going to pull me now? Is it something deeper I could do with this process, or is there another type of project? You know, so there's something there. And also, you know, there's something about, you know, I feel like there's more books in me. There's more writing, and so I might have to renegotiate my priorities with myself, and try to see, you know, how can I give the writing more time. And you know, when you're doing your own business and you were creating, it's pretty all-consuming. So, you know, I'm looking at, and I'm, for the first time, you know, my big thing in life has always been a dance with different dimensions of freedom. And right now I'm having this bizarre hunch that I might actually need more structure. I might actually need to have a long-term perspective, like things that I haven't entertained so much in my former, obviously I've been committed to my business, so there's been a sense of obligation and responsibility, and so it's not like I've been free floating. But for writing and for the creative process, I'm starting to see, I think actually there is a different way that is going to make me more prolific, and in a way, instead of me being available for life, it's almost like me setting up a structure so that I'm available for the muse. So it's a more specific kind of relationship. So that's sort of a new thing where I'm realizing I probably need that more than I think I do or thought I do.
I was thinking of the next book might be called Dressing Up.
Yes.
You know how kids just like to dress up.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, we put on the Wonder Woman or the Superwoman costume, and we'll see how that changes you. Because you get different when you have a mask on or when you have a costume on, because the field is different. And I think that might be something fun to pursue, to have a look at. Well,
I sort of like that. Maybe that can, because, part of me is naturally like deep thinking, and there's a deep spiritual aspect to my process, and not in a sort of a really ritualistic or any way, but it just seems that's what I gravitate towards. But then there's also just the child. I just want to play and have fun, and so I could see that. I could put on a little costume and see what happens.
Why not?
Well, I will report back in private if I do. Or maybe that could become part of it. Every time there's a new project, there's a new costume. We'll see. But I like the suggestion.
It just wafted in through the window.
Yes.
So just to recapitulate, you are looking for a publisher for your book, Unveiled.
Yes.
That you are still doing the photography, but that photography might take a turn in another direction.
Well, I would probably say it this way. Probably the rest of my life. If a woman comes and she really wants this, I'll do it. It's fun. It's fun.
Absolutely. Well, you have two websites. Well, I'll just mention them. It's womenunveiled.com, womenunveiled.com, and also your personal website, www.lonemorch.com. That's LONEMORCH.com. Well, it's been a delight and a pleasure to have you speaking with us today.
Likewise. What fun. We could probably keep talking for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
45 minutes already.
Okay.
Flashed by.
See? Yeah.
But anyway, we'll look forward to hearing from you in the future, and see if there's another project, another book.
I'm sure there will be.
See if you're in Denmark or in the States, or maybe over here in the UK.
Maybe. Invite me.
Oh, the dragons would love to see you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me.
Truly a pleasure. Thanks for being on the show with us.
Thank you, Ron. Yes.
Bye.
Goodbye for now.
Bye for now.